reasons. Alright, welcome to game one of our losers bracket. We are going to have a pause. Epic anticlimax. He might have had the stream still open. Oops. And we're almost...
Game resumed.
Alright, game is resumed, and we are back in game one of our losers bracket. I can't really tell you what round this is. I'm not sure if it's the first, second. It's somewhere in the middle of the losers bracket. That's all you really have to know. This is StarsKri as our pink Zerg in the top left, and in the bottom right we have our red Protoss Primorix. We are going to have another PVZ, and we do have another strange location for this pylon. We actually saw this in our last series, where we had, we had Hippie and Spork. Spork started on this map with a very strange sort of gateway location, did not wall off his ramp, and Hippie punished it so hard with just stream after stream of Zerglings, and that was way too much for the Protoss to handle, so I'm a little bit worried for this pylon placement. Not going for that Forge Fest expand, going for some sort of one base play. We'll need to do something interesting with it in order to actually make it worth. And wow, that is a lot of shift click. This is the most well-disciplined scouting probe in the history of scouting probes. We'll see any sort of spawning pool going down, and there is the pool. Alright, so he will see the pool timing. He will see that it's pool first, not hatch first. And this gateway down here, again, is just very strange. Very strange location. And it is the 5th round. God, our gold bracket is so enormous. It is very exciting, though, as compared to our Masters bracket of approximately 8 people. We have more than 8 people in our gold bracket. My voice is getting a little bit hoarse. I do apologize if it starts going a little bit 80-year-old smoker and everyone. This pylon up here will help him wall off. Still a little confused as to why that gateway is down there, but should be okay. It looks like StarsKri is not actually going to be able to punish this. He doesn't even know what is up here. He's just kind of playing blind from the start. So Primorix is going to get a little bit lucky with that. Alright, we'll wall this off. It looks like he's not going for that one gate fast expand sort of shenanigans. He's getting a pylon. This is a very strange wall, but that is okay. Primorix teaching us a little bit about creative walling. And while StarsKri does have a spine crawler on the way, he has sensed some sort of shenanigans. He's seen this one base strange sort of play. That Zealot is not blocking off as much as he thinks he is. But the spine crawler, just to be safe, might be a little bit premature, but not a terrible reaction. We'll want to move it down here eventually, once it can. That's the beauty of Zerg structures, in spine crawlers and spore crawlers at least, is that you can just pick them up and plop them down where they need to go. Mothership core on the way, as well as warp gate. Primorix doing some... Alright, it is a one gate expand. Very interesting. These Zealots... we talked a little bit about indirect versus direct damage in our last series. I want to talk about that again. Indirect damage to a Zerg is almost as good as direct damage. If you kill drones, great. But at the same time, if you make them build units when they want to build drones, that's almost as good. Just because they are not building those drones in the first place, and you are gaining an economic advantage. Knowing how to exploit Zerg and how Zerg works is so key to actually being able to defeat the Swarm. Those Zerglings getting way too ambitious, taking on 2 Zealots, And there is that spine crawler having been moved down from the top. Nice little migration from our Zerg. More gas being taken from StarsKri now. Will be interesting to see what sort of tech he is going for. Does he know about this expansion? No, he does not. This is actually very dangerous. He saw one base play to start. He might be assuming some sort of super nasty push. And with that robo and 3 gateways, he will have a bit of an army building up, but knowing that there's an expansion here is so important. Meanwhile, more queens on the way. Spore Crawler's being thrown down. He is a bit afraid of some sort of Oracle or Phoenix play. Not a bad idea. Putting down 1 Spore in each mineral line when you just can't get a scout in as Zerg. It's not that expensive. Not ideal, but again, not a terrible idea. Would like to see that other Spore Crawler actually back down here, though. And also, when in doubt, build more Queens. Queens will help defend against a lot of early pushes, especially with Transfuse on Spine Crawlers. And their DPS is actually not to be underestimated. So we're coming out now for Primorix. And if we look at the worker count, they're actually just about even. So while Primorix has a bit later of an expansion, but he is now chrono boosting out those probes, and he has scared StarsKri into actually being a little bit more defensive than I think he was prepared for. By the way, I have just realized why this gateway was over here, why there was no Fortress expand. StarsKri is random. Yes, he plays random, so there was actually no knowledge for Primorix of what race he was even up against at the start of the game. So he was just kind of assuming that, kind of playing the odds. If he's playing a PvP or a PvT, you do not want to wall off that ramp. But as soon as he found out it was a Zerg, he did start that wall off, and he ended up going into a 1-gate expand. When you're playing against random, if you are Protoss, that is the hardest race to actually know what to do, because you want to do so many different things depending on what race you're up against. I've had, in my random playing days, I've had more Protoss players rage at me than any other, just for that fact alone. Going up against Zerg, a random Zerg, when you are Protoss, just sets you way behind. Small army being set up now. There is no third being taken, and this observer will see that there is no third here, but this is the more likely third for Zerg, just because these rocks are so difficult to take down for Zerg in the early game. Zerglings do approximately no damage at all to destructible rocks. Lots of slowlings coming on up here. Speed is not even on the way. Don't know what these lings were doing. They were having a way too ambitious time trying to get on up into the ramp. He will scout out that there is a lot of stuff that will murder him up on top. Alright, StarsKri now getting a few more gases, but not really. Where's this gas going? He's getting Hydra Den, he's getting a bunch of roaches, roach speed, going for that roach Hydra mix. But he's eventually going to need a third base, or he's going to need to do damage to Primorix's second base. I suppose is his natural. He also has Overlord speed, which is fairly unusual. I don't see Overlord drops on the way, but he will be able to scout out a lot more easily with that speed. Alright, both players neck and neck in the supply count. Colossi on the way, and a third base is now coming down for Primorix. This map is so good for Protoss, and this is why Primorix chose it. This third base is so easy to hold compared to most other maps, and Protoss on 3 bases is so much more powerful with that extra gas. It allows them to do so much more compared to simple 2-base timing pushes. Alright, StarsKri actually taking this base. Will eventually take out these rocks, but this is a very slow third for Zerg, so he will be a bit behind economically. Neither side really poking or prodding. He does have a fair amount of vision, but he's not seeing this base. He does need to get these overlords into position. Needs to get an overlord over there, checking for that third base, because that is the real danger zone when you are up against Protoss. And actually, assaulting this base is almost impossible. You have this little tiny choker right there, and on top of that, you have this. If you are the attacker, and you want to attack into this base, it is so difficult, because if you have a defending army up here, and you attack over here, you have to run all the way over here, whereas the defending army just goes right there. And you think to yourself, oh, okay, he's defending over here, I'll attack his third. So you have to go all the way around here, in through this little choke. Meanwhile, the defending army just has to go right down there. And they actually make that sound effect exactly. If you listen real close next time, you will hear it. I promise. Charge is on the way, and Colossi are on the way as well. Lots of AoE damage. Some nice creep spread by StarsKri. Do you like that? But he does need to know about this. And eventually... does he? Does he know? No, he still does not know about that third, and that third is such a crucial bit of information. Big army now coming out for StarsKri now. He is going for a push of his own, and might hit before there's too many Colossi. There is one out right now, and once you get to 2 or 3 Colossi, Roach Hydra becomes a lot less intimidating. Start needing those Vipers, need that Hive Tech to actually handle that big Protoss Death Ball. And StarsKri is now well behind on supply, but he has a lot of bank. Also has 21 larva. I think he's waiting to see what he actually needs to spend it on. These rocks have actually remained down, so this army will be able to get in and do some damage, but this is exactly what I'm talking about. This defending army just has to go right over there, and you are good to go. Does not want to get into that choke. Oh, a lot of the rocks will fall on the Zealot and trap these units outside. That was a neat little move from StarsKri. We'll eventually have to take these out, but that will not be that hard with all those Roaches and Hydras doing plenty of damage. 2 Colossi out. 2 more on the way out of time. He's going double Robo Colossi. And StarsKri is going to be in a lot of trouble if he stays on Roach Hydra without getting Corruptors or Vipers or something to deal with these Colossi. Does at least know about this third now, though, and he does need to take a base of his own. Wants to stay 1 base up as Zerg against Protoss. Or really, against any race. Lots more Roach Hydra, but he's being stuck on this tech. Starting to get a bit in terms of upgrades, but already +1 attack on the Protoss, and could be going for more with that Twilight Council. So many Colossi are coming out now, though. Hydra Speed on the way, but Hydra Speed won't really help when they're all getting vaporized on the spot. Lazy Colossus will stay behind and guard the fort. Nicely placed Overlord will be able to maybe get away. Oh, yes, he will get away. No, he won't, those Stalkers. Nope, Stalkers are not out for blood. Huge attack now down in the center. Great concave for the Zerg. This is actually not a good engagement for Primorix. He needs to actually regroup. And oh, those Colossi are not getting the shots in they need. Colossus could be focused down. Is way out in front. Is very, very vulnerable. These Colossi need to get back in as well. The Protoss is just hammering right into the face of StarsKri. And the Colossus are out in front. But no, they're actually going to get focused down. That is not what Primorix wanted to have happen at all. Suddenly this game has swung completely into StarsKri's favor with that miss micro of those Colossi. The Colossi were so important. You needed them in the back. They needed to be doing that damage constantly. They only got a few swipes off. All that money invested into double Colossi production, all for naught. This counterattack might be a little bit of an overextension, though, as he is going to get sandwiched. And oh, some huge hits on those Colossi. Can he focus down the Colossi? He is going to get one of them after it gets a few more hits in, and this might be enough to actually clean up the Zerg army. And once again, things have swung right back into the Protoss' favor. Or not, maybe this will actually be able to be handled, but no, that Colossus will finally. That 9 kill, 11 kill, 12 kill, 13 kill, 14 kill, 15 kill Master Colossus. Give him a black belt, and he will kick your head off. Seriously, he has pretty good legs. He'll kick your head off. More Colossi on the way. Double Colossi at a time, but he doesn't really have much in the way of gateway units to support this, and he needs a gateway force to support as well. The Zerg going in again into this little tiny choke against a lot of Colossi. I really don't like this. I would much rather see him take some bases, put the Protoss on the defensive, and just absorb any attack that the Protoss has to offer. But instead, he is going to get flanked by these Colossi. The Hydra is getting completely vaporized, but there are not enough gateway units to actually buffer for the Colossi. The Colossi are going to be going down. Can he catch that Colossus? That Colossus dragging its dead brethren along with its feet. Oh my god, that was absolutely gruesome. And that one will go down as well. More Colossi on the way, more Roaches on the way to battle that in turn. No Immortals left after that initial slaughter of the Protoss army. And again, going to this tiny little choke, I don't know if this is the right decision. He might actually have a much easier time if he just goes up this giant ramp up into the natural and start applying pressure there. Split up the army, split up any sort of reinforcements. But no, he is trying to go into this third, trying to hammer himself into this choke, and he has no expansion behind this, and that could prove to be fatal. More Hydras on the way, Immortals on the way, and another base on the way for Primorix. Primorix, very bold, but he knows that if he can keep this economic lead, he has to keep a mining base up and running. And that is exactly what he needs to do to stay in this game. More Immortals coming out, but not many more Roaches. And by not many more Roaches, I mean there's a lot of Roaches. I am good at casting. This base needs much more saturation. 43 drones to 78 probes. StarsKri needs so many more drones. He has been so behind economically, and he has a bank as well. He needs to spend that bank immediately. He's way ahead in cost efficiency just because of these Colossi that keep running on forward with death wishes in their hearts. But he just can't count on that as a Zerg player. And it looks like Primorix is going to be moving in, and those Colossi... Oh... Will they be enough to actually push this back? The Stalkers are getting melted down pretty quick. So Immortal will be able to get a few Roach kills, and there are so many Colossi now that they will be just enough of a critical mass to fight back the Zerg. The Zerg now on a lower supply than our Protoss. Not where you want to be. Lots and lots of money and not many larvae. 12 larvae now, and he needs to actually be able to spend that. Base is going up, but these bases are so late. So late. This base still not even remotely saturated. Needs to get gases, needs to get drones there, needs to produce drones. Needs so much actually going on there. Look how little gas that he actually has. 100 gas, 2,000 minerals. He is gas deprived, and he needs to get that gas going for these geysers. So many Colossi pushing forward just a little bit more, cleaning up the creep. Not sure if he'll actually push in any further, or if he will just clean up the creep and turn around after scaring the Zerg just that much more. No, they are moving in, and there are a lot of Colossi, but there is a huge concave for the Zerg. The Zerg, if he can push past those Stalkers, the Stalkers are buffering just enough for the Colossi to get a ton of huge hits in, and that is just enough for the Protoss to push on forward. 50 to supply to 144 for the Protoss. Protoss can just keep pushing forward, needs to kill off this base. If he kills off this base, that will likely be GG. The Zerg needs to keep this base, but can he with this huge Protoss army knocking at his door? Will he even bother with it, or will he just go on in and destroy everything that is Zerg? Moving in, lots of spawning Zerglings will just get roasted away. They were running into their deaths. Oh, this is a slaughterhouse. More Hydras doing much the same, not even really getting any shots off. That Hydra getting just one or two. StarsKri, GG's out. Primorix will take game number 1.